I appreciate y'all being out here tonight. I appreciate you coming out on a rainy evening. It ended up clearing up, beautiful evening. And earlier today we were told it was going to be pouring down rain, but I appreciate everybody being here. Welcome to the brand new, as of last November, Mulberry Rock Park. In Post 2, the first large park, the only large park in Post 2. And it's a beautiful facility, about 165 acres here. We've developed just roughly around 100 acres. And we've got about 65 or so more acres that we're going to develop in the back here. As you see, when you came in, going down the road, when you get to the end of the road, it kind of dead ends. If you took a look at the park and you went out the other way and you drove around the back side of the park, it actually dead ends there. Well, there's going to be a road that connects from the end of this one to the end of that one. And we've got about a 4.5 acre or so pond going to go back here. We couldn't get that done when we built the park because it was going to take too long to get the permit. And so we're going to use it for irrigation, and we need to get the park done. This park had been put off long enough, and I said, we're going to get the park done, and we'll come back and we'll take care of this right here. And so that's going to be happening soon. And then later, on down the road, don't know how much later, and don't know what we would develop back there, but there'll be something else back there. We're actually doing a park study right now to see what people are looking for. Are they looking for baseball fields, softball fields, tennis courts, basketball courts? What are they looking for? And so we've been wanting to do that study for a long time. So we'll see what happens on down the road. It may be 10, 12, 15, 20 years down the road, but there's 65 more acres in the back that we will develop at some time. So I hope that you'll get an opportunity to come out to this park, walk the trails, look around, but it's a beautiful facility. And I have to thank y'all, the citizens of Pownall County, because without the splosh, we would not have this park. And there's a lot of money invested in this park right here. We've got about pushing close to $11 million that we put in the park. And so without the splosh, it just couldn't be done. And y'all know that as far as the splosh is concerned, we can build parks with the splosh, but we can't upkeep the parks with the splosh. So we've got to be careful to not outbuild what we can afford to take care of. So welcome to Mulberry Rock Park. I would like to start off, if y'all don't care, I'd like to start off with a word of prayer, and I'd like to start off with the pledge to the flag. All right? So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Father, I just thank you so much for the folks that have come out tonight to hear a little bit about what's going on in their community in Post 2. I thank you for the relationships, the friendships that have been built over the years. And I learned a long time ago from some pretty close friends in here in the early 2000s that one of the good things about campaigns are and being in elected office is just learning so much about people and just meeting new friends. So I thank you for that. I just pray to pour a special blessing down upon each family represented here tonight, and just continue to watch over, protect them, lead them, guide them, and direct them, and just bless their family. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We will stand for the pledge, and here is our pledge. So there you go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball. Play ball. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. I am going to go over a few things that we have had going on in our county and out in Post 2. We talk about post commissioners having, 4 post commissioners, 1, 2, 3, and 4 that represent the county. But we all work together in order to get anything done. And there's no way, it takes 3 votes to get something done, and there's no way that just one of us can do it. So if there's something going on in Post 2 needs help and support to be able to get those votes, to be able to get something done. So although I represent Post 2, I also represent the entire county. So I'd just like to share a little bit about what we've had going on in Paulding County over the past few years and some of the things that we've done. I'd also like to ask you this. If you've got any questions tonight that you would like for us to answer, for myself to answer, there's some pens and note cards on the table. If you'll write down those questions while I'm talking, I'm going to have Lori Ashmore with our water department talk in a few minutes. If you'll write down those questions, and back there at the coffee pot, there's a box that has my name on it there. If you'll drop them in there, we're going to read those questions, and we're going to answer your questions. So feel free to ask anything you want. You're kind of safe. Nobody will know who it is. Right, Raymond? He's already.
I'm going to need some more cards.
He needs some more cards. I figured so. There you go.
Well, I'm gonna give you a break, Todd. I ain't writing nothing down. I'm just gonna say.
You gonna give me a break? Okay. All right. So I made a list of some things that we did so that I hopefully don't miss anything. And if I do, and there's anything you want to talk to me or ask me questions about concerning any of these or others, we're going to try to answer all those this evening. Several things that we've done, and none of these are in order. We have recently opened up, not too long ago, our new E911 center. And it's over there by what's going to be soon the old jail, right beside the DFAX building. And I was really excited about the 911 center getting opened up. There was some controversy early on about it. They were going to put it out at the airport. It was before we knew the airport, that they were trying to make the airport commercial. And they were going to put it out there, and ended up, some things got held off because of some lawsuits, environmental assessments going on. And it ended up being just such a blessing that we found out that, hey, they're wanting to make the airport commercial. It's a general aviation airport. We don't need to have our 911 center out at the commercial airport. So we were able to find another location, and when we did the search for the locations for the 911 center, we ended up finding out there were 3 locations. And there was a first, second, and a third choice. Ended up that the first choice is exactly where we put it. We already own the land. The way the fiber optic works there, there's redundancy. It comes in from 2 different areas, 2 different ways. And so if there's some construction going on one of the roads and anything gets cut, you've got it coming in from another source. And so we ended up finding out that was the #1 place to put it. And along with the Board of Commissioners' help, everybody, Tony Crow kind of led that charge. And we got the 911 center opened up. And if you've never had the opportunity to go by there, you got to go by and take a look at it. It's one of the things that I feel like we gave our staff the equipment that they needed in order to do the job that they need to do in order to take care of you, the citizens of Pownall County. And it's one of the things that make me sleep good at night, knowing that we've given them everything they need and they can take care of us. And it gives you a good night's sleep. We built a new park, Veterans Park, with splosh dollars out in front of the courthouse. Beautiful facility. It's the only park that we have in the county that's actually open 24 hours a day. The lights are on. We've got cameras out there, and it is used 24 hours a day. It's a great walking track, great facility there, beautiful park, and I think it enhances that courthouse there. And again, that was with your splosh dollars. We were also able to do, not too long ago, the DDS building driver services. For once, finally, you can go to Paulding County and get your driver's license. Years ago, you could do it at the Dallas Library. But now, we actually have a facility you can go there, and it is a great facility located back behind the courthouse, and it is well used, not only for our citizens, but from other counties next door that come in and use that facility. And so we're excited about that, and we've got that located back there. I've already mentioned this park that we started off with. I was so excited about having the opportunity just to be a small part of participating in building this park. This park actually should have been built years ago. Sometimes politics get in the way, okay? And it should have been built years ago. There was a decision made a few years ago that was a wise decision by Don Powell, who was the post commissioner before I got here. And I worked with Mr. Don Powell for 2 terms. And I worked to help him get elected. He's a fine gentleman, but the property was purchased back in his first term. And then the property at White Oak Park became available. And some of y'all in here are pretty familiar with that. That was actually going to end up being a subdivision. County had the opportunity to buy it. The money was tight. And what they did is they went to Mr. Powell and they said, well, what do you think? You're the next park. What do you think we should do? Mr. Powell said, you need to buy that property. White Oak Park's the #1 used park in the county. It's a passive park. It's a beautiful park, a beautiful facility. And they made the right decision. Sometimes the right decision that you make, the right decision you make for somebody else may not be the right decision as for you, for your area. But the decision they made at the time, that was the right decision to make. A beautiful facility over there. So years later, here we are, and we're at this beautiful park here. So thank y'all. We were able to build a new fire station number 14, headed back into New Georgia on Mulberry Rock Road. We did a little research, and I say we, as the fire department, did some research and found out that we had a lot of pockets of the county that were not covered with fire protection. So we said, you know, we may not need to build huge fire departments because it don't matter if it's a small one or a big one, it only covers so many areas as far as for getting your discount on your insurance. So we built some small, we started to decide we're going to build some smaller ones, and that's one we built, station number 14. It's a nice little fire department. It serves that New Georgia community area and down Ridge Road. It covers a great part of the county, and we're going to be doing more of those. We've got more of those planned for the future. The Board of Commissioners actually had a small part in ensuring that the hospital was brought here. And there was a time where Wellstar had said they were going to build a hospital here, and then later they talked about doing something else in the Cedar Crest area. And if you'll notice, out on 41 in Cobb County, there's a Wellstar facility, and that kind of got out there because it didn't happen in the Cedar Crest area. I happen to believe that the Wellstar Hospital, our new Pownall County Hospital, is in the exact spot it should be. It's in the center of our county, and it serves our county well there. And this Board of Commissioners, it's kind of a different way, but we had to do some backing of some bonds in order for them to get some discounts that they needed to get, and Wellstar be able to build the hospital more feasible. We'll just put it that way. And so I'm glad that we had a small part in that, and we were able to do that. We've got a great hospital there. I'm excited about it. Used to, you know, people would say, if the ambulance came to your house, they didn't want you to go to Pownall, and now it's like, hey, get me to Pownall. And so we're very blessed to have the hospital. The reservoir is something that the citizens voted for in '99. And there haven't been too many days that the reservoir hasn't been mentioned since I got in office. And as far as I can remember, that reservoir has been done so far, every vote with a 5-0 vote. I say that because the reservoir, everything that came before us with the reservoir was done right out front. It's been done in the open, Ms. Ashmore. Everything that we've done has been done right in the meetings. We've had all the information that we needed. The public was involved, and the reservoir is going to be a great thing. I know there's some folks that say, well, we didn't need a reservoir, or, you know, we had water or whatever, but we were getting our water from Cobb County, and that's what we're doing now. And that reservoir is going to make us independent. We're going to have our own water source. And I truly believe in all my heart that I may not be here, some of y'all may not be here, but on down the road in about 30 years, I think some folks are gonna say those folks were rocket scientists to come up with this idea, because we've got our own source of water. And so we're excited about that. Georgia State Patrol. We brought Georgia State Patrol in on Bill Cruz Parkway. That was the old water department building. They had outgrown it, needed to do something else. That building was built and should have lasted a lot longer than what it did, but they outgrew it. And with the reservoir, they were going to outgrow it even more. We put Georgia State Patrol there, and it's just another layer of protection. And we're glad to have them inside the county. They were outside of the county before, and anytime they were called in, it took a while to get here, so we're glad to have them. We've been a small part of the new drug court that the court system has, and that's an opportunity where somebody goes to court and they've had naturally some drug issues, and that drug court helps them get through that, helps them keep the job, helps them keep their family, and works with them, and hopefully get them back into society successful versus being put back behind bars. Bill Cruz Parkway. When I first got in office, we were able to break ground on the extension of Bill Cruz Parkway from 92 and the end of Bill Cruz Parkway from 92 and go all the way around to 278 in Hiram. And we did that with 4 lanes. And then not too later, we opened up the Bill Cruz Parkway from 92 back to the hospital and opened up that with 4 lanes. And that's a great access around Hiram. And we've got more and more cars that are using that each and every day. And I think you're going to find out in the future, I think it was a great decision to do that, especially with the traffic we have in Hiram. If you'll just learn to get on that Bill Cruz Parkway and come out back around here, it'll save you a lot of time. The voters voted for the new jail. We're going to be breaking ground on the new jail this year. We're really close to getting that thing started. We're getting all of our ducks in a row. I plan for that to be put right out front, just like the reservoir. And that's the way you do business. And I know Gary and them are excited. The jail that we have now is supposed to last, I think they've told me 10 years, maybe 15. We're 30-something years, and we still got the old jail. So looking forward to getting that done. A good facility is going to be right back behind the courthouse, which is what the original plans were in the courthouse to put that there. We recently did a salary study in the county, and some folks don't think that's a big deal, but it's been a long time since there's been a salary study to see where our departments and our employees rate compared to other counties that are like our counties. And I have pushed for that for a long time because I felt like we needed that, and we needed to make sure that our employees were being paid what they need to be being paid according to the other jobs that they have in other counties, the likewise jobs. And that wasn't just about money. That salary study was also about job description, coming up with a job description of what those folks are doing, because through the years, you put somebody in a job and you keep changing that job description and you really don't have it written down. So we needed the job description, we needed the salary study, and I think it puts us on an equal playing field with everybody, and puts us in good shape. We just broke ground on the widening 92. That's a state project, but the county's been very involved in that. One of the things that I'm very proud of that we've done is we made sure that the citizens were able to speak. And some people really don't know about that. And what I mean is this. There were a time where there's some commissioners on the board back that really didn't want the citizens to be able to come up there and speak. And I stood pretty strong for that. I feel like no matter what you have that you like about me or you don't like about me, I work for you. And you need to be able to come to that meeting and voice your opinion, good, bad, or indifferent. As long as you do that in the correct way, we need to be respectful with one another. And I think that's how you get business done in government. And I fought hard to make sure that we continued to do that. Not only that, I made sure that we were going to put the video out there, and we were gonna play the video from gavel to gavel. From when that meeting starts to that meeting ends. And no editing. Just because I don't like what somebody comes up and says to me, we're not editing that out. It's going to be from gavel to gavel. So I'm excited about that. This year's budget, we put some things in there to really streamline and help out our business license. As far as going to the courthouse, going to the admin building, purchasing a business license, we've got some things coming online here that's going to be literally online. It's going to be easier, it's going to be more efficient, and hopefully we can get you through that process with a little bit a better roadmap and get things done better. And that's something that we've wanted to do. Times have been tough. We haven't had the money, but this year we put it in the budget to see that that happens. At the last SPLOST vote that the citizens voted for, we have in there public safety, we have in there DOT, and we have parks. The last SPLOST vote we put in, probably not enough, but we put a little bit of money in there that gets off to the side each time for fiber optic cable. I think that's very important in our county. It's going to be important for businesses in years to come. We've got some places where we've have it. We've got a lot of places that we don't. But we've got that in that SPLOST vote. We're going to be able to take care of some of that. One of the things that I'm really pleased with, and we actually got a report the other day, and I had not seen the report until our meeting, was our litter report that was put out there. One of the issues I've always had a hard time with is the litter that we have on the sides of the roads here in Pownall County. And it just drives me crazy. Leslie's over there. We just put her on the Keep Paulding Beautiful board. We probably need 1,000 Leslies, okay? It drives me crazy. We are spending more money today picking up litter and extra cuttings on the side of the road than's ever been spent in the history of Paulding County. I think there's several ways that we have to fix that issue. We need the community to do it. I know, Van, you pick up your road several miles. My sons and I pick up 1.5 miles of our road. And we need the community to work together to do that. But in the meantime, we can't sit back and wait on them. And so I have pushed and pushed and pushed to make sure we put the money that we need to out there to have the extra litter pickups, the extra pickups, and the extra roadside cuttings. And we're still lacking, but it's getting better. All right, it's getting better. So I'm excited about that. I have, I'll hold off on these last two right here, and I'll talk about those in just a few minutes if that's okay. You know, sometimes some folks out there say, all those commissioners are doing is dealing with that one issue. I just read you off a good list. I can tell you we're busy. We're busy each and every day. It's nonstop. It's not a part-time job. If you think it is, you're wrong. It's a full-time job, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day sometimes. And I am proud of the work that we've done. And I'm proud of the things that haven't gotten done, that we've worked on. And I want to right now, our staff is kind of spread this weekend. We've got some down in Savannah, and I didn't go this weekend. We've got some over in the Bentwater, Seven Hills area tonight, discussing some things. I want to discuss a few more things with you in a few minutes. But I have Lori Ashmore with us tonight. And she was not going to take no for an answer. She was going to come out here and hang out with us. And I wanted to bring her up. She's our water department head. Wanted to bring her up and let her share a few things that's going on with the water department, reservoir. And maybe you might talk just a little bit about what we went through back in December. Okay? And so anyway, and then I want y'all to, any questions you have, we write them down. Ryan, you need more paper? He's making it work. Write them down, put them in the box in the back, and we're going to answer in just a few minutes. But come on up, Lori. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for
Okay.
inviting me to join.
You got it.
I tell people all the time, it's just an exciting time to be in the water business in Paulding County. Mr. Pownall already mentioned the reservoir. Just a couple of things about the reservoir. We should be filling the reservoir this time next year. By the end of 2019, we'll be supplying a portion of our drinking water to Paulding County from Richland Creek Reservoir Water Supply Program. We are at the point where it's really pretty exciting from the construction side. If you have not seen our photos or our videos, we have some drone videography on our project website at rcrwater.com. Some great photos of what's coming, what's happening out there. It's starting to look like a dam. It's an earthen dam, and it's starting to take shape. So it is a very exciting time. Let me offer, just by way of explanation, I think before we talk about what happened in December, it's important for me to explain how water gets here, out into this post 2 area. All of our drinking water comes in from the east, from Cotton Area Water Authority, and it comes into a main pressure zone that is this white area on the map. It's beautiful out here, but the topography is challenging. We have to pump up from that main pressure zone into the southwest portion of the county. And then that pressure is maintained with pumps and a tank, our Union tank. Then we repump. We actually pump it again up into the Yorkville area. So that's our highest pressure zone is actually in this north part of the Yorkville zone. So when we talk about that water outage, I think it's important to understand the kind of the mechanically how it's laid out. We had a transducer on the Union tank that failed during the storm, and we lost. We actually had a signal that was being sent that said the tank was full when the tank levels were dropping. As you can see, what happens then is from there you start losing water supply into Yorkville. It was a real challenge to get that back functioning, that system back functioning again. We also experienced a lot of air in the lines. For those of you in the Yorkville area, I know many experienced it for quite a while after the event. It was a real struggle for us. We ended up bringing back the Union system on a Tuesday afternoon, and we struggled for over another 24 hours to start being able to supply that Yorkville area. We were at the point where we essentially had an airlock in the piping system because the pipes, the design of these systems when they were initially installed didn't have any air relief valves on them. And the hydrants weren't located at the high points. So we couldn't bleed the air out. It was literally trapped in some of the high points. And we had to install taps into the top of the pipe to release that air. It was something that, frankly, I've never seen before. We actually called in overnight, and we had some outside expertise that we were on the phone all night working on where to put those taps, how to get that air out of the system. One thing about a crisis, though, is you always look back and say, okay, what happened here? What can we do better? Where did we Where did we have issues? We had an audit done on our operations and maintenance activities, and we've identified some things that we need to do differently there. And also communication. Frankly, our whole staff was focused on getting the problem resolved and dealing with the mandatory boil water advisory that we had to do that was imposed from a regulatory condition. And so our communication with you all was not to the level that we will commit to be providing to you all in the future. But we are, we put some things in place with a computerized maintenance. We're putting things in place with a computerized maintenance management system for preventive maintenance of some of these things. We've already made some changes with those transducers, the ones that froze to make them less sensitive to that, and also on our monitoring, so that when the system appears to be full, but is not, or the call volume changes, that one of our managers is alerted to that earlier during an event, so that we can address it and not experience what you all had in this time. The other thing I wanted to tell you about was we've been working on water line extensions, post 2 and post 4, being our more rural areas of the county, have more roads that don't have water on them, so people don't have access to the public water supply. So we've now got a policy in place for when we extend water, when communities, when groups of homeowners or residents come together and want water supply brought down their road, that we have a policy now to guide that. We're doing our first 2 extensions in post 4 on Overlook Trail and on Pine Ridge, and those were our first 2 petitions that came in that met the criteria. We've got about $500,000 a year budgeted for those water line extensions. And I can't tell you how long it has been since we were extending water lines like that, but there are a number of people in our county that don't have reliable supply from their wells. I've heard some stories that I didn't expect to hear in 2017 and 2018. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is a program that we're working on that I think is really exciting. Your power meters, I think people are used to now their power meters being read remotely from the power company. They can switch it on and off. And while the water industry is getting that to that same level, we are piloting and what's called an AMI system, or advanced metering infrastructure, that will allow us to be able to remotely read your water meters. We've got that. We are at the point now where I'm finally starting to see that ability to serve customers better with that data available at our customer service reps' fingertips, rather than having someone call with a problem with their meter and having to send someone physically out to read it. Often we can say, oh, here's what we're seeing on your water use, here's why your bill is where it is and the level it is. We're hoping, though, that the next step is that we'll be able to alert a customer to the fact that they might have a leak before they get their next bill. And that, to me, is truly getting improved customer service. So we're looking forward to the results of our pilot and hope to be extending that throughout the county.
That was a interesting time that I learned more about water and water lines than I ever knew I would learn. We actually had a few nights that we were up and out all night. I was with the folks out in the field. We had engineers in our admin building. We had Lori in our admin building. We had engineers off-site. We didn't go to just our folks, we went to anybody and everybody that we could in order to find out what we need to do. And when you're out there on the road in the middle of the night and none of our employees fussed or griped or anything about it, they didn't do it to me. Okay? They just worked. Julie says, "Why are you going out there?" Why are you? Yeah. Well, and I had spent the night out there the night before, all night. She said, "Why are you going out there?" I said, "People got to have water. They got to have water, and I want to know firsthand what's going on. And if you're not out there doing it, and you're not out there looking," and I made my corny videos, "how can you expect anybody else to do it?" And those folks worked. They worked on the side of the road. We had people driving by 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning honking horns at them. But it was the neatest thing to do. They're looking at computers inside the admin building. They're telling us where to go on the computer. A couple times you would let us know, go to this point, go to this point, go to this address, go to this address. Well, we had, I won't mention his name, but we had a fellow out there that's about 6 foot taller than me. And what we were doing is trying to find out where we were above sea level, basically, and find out the high point in order to drill to let the air out. So, you know, he's sitting here like this, which is about 3 more feet taller. He's doing this. Okay, we're at this level here. Somebody said, "Well, that level's off about 7 feet." And I'm thinking, well, this guy's 9 foot tall. But it was a very learning time for everybody. The new guys out in the field, the old guys out in the field, me as a commissioner who don't know anything about water other than you turn it on and you get to have it. The engineers, we actually went in there and tapped pipes where you normally would tap one on the side for a meter. We were tapping it on the top, and the guys were looking at us like, "Are we supposed to do this?" I said, "That's what they said, tap it on the top, we don't tap it on the..." And they, you know, we're out there and we're tapping it, and the first time we hit, it was amazing to see the air that came out of there, and we knew we were getting somewhere. And most people think, well, why can't the water push that air through the lines? Doesn't happen, does it? But it was a great teamwork of people. I was glad I had the opportunity to go out there with them. It was a very tough week, and everybody just joined together to do what they need to do to make sure the citizens in Post 2 got the water they needed. But it was frustrating. And I can tell you what, when Post 2 citizens get up in the morning to go to work and go to school, y'all use some water. Is that right? Huh? I'm telling you, we thought we got the tank was ready, we got the tank filled, this much, and then all of a sudden, the morning comes, sun's coming up, our school bus is running, everybody's going, and all of a sudden, well, we're down to, we only got 2 feet of water in the tank. I said, we about had it full. So anyway, great job, and we learned a lot, and hopefully the next time something like that happens, we'll know exactly what to do, but it was a perfect storm, is what it was. Would somebody like to bring me that box?
Hey, Todd, can I just, well, I don't
Yes.
have to write that question down, but I know there's some development going on out in Post 2.
Right.
So it seems like if the water is an issue, I mean, is that, I mean, you have to take that into consideration, right? I mean, whether you approve of development or not.
I think we're going to be okay with our water issues,
I mean, the tank's going down to 2 foot from what we already got. You know, putting out subdivision in, it's got to go.
That was because we didn't have it all the way filled.
That's
And we
right.
didn't have the pressure to go in. I think we're going to be okay with it. Okay. All right. You give me a call, let me know.
Okay, I was having to spray perfume all over him after.
Oh, you probably have to do that most days. All right. I'm going to answer all the questions in here. What I'm going to do is if there's any questions that's about that one hot topic button, I'm gonna put them off to the side and I'm gonna answer them at the end, if that's okay. But we're gonna answer all the questions. Is that door unlocked, Joe? All the doors are unlocked. All the doors are unlocked. All the doors are unlocked.
All
Okay.
are welcome.
Everybody's welcome. The doors are unlocked and the lights are on.
That's
All right. Oh, brother. So we're gonna read these questions. I wanted to do it this way because some people don't want to ask a negative question or a harsh question or throw a dart at the candidate. So I thought, well, we'll do this, and y'all can come up here and lay them out on the table when we're over, and you can make sure that I answered all the questions. But if we pull one out that has to do with that one issue, we're going to talk about it in just a minute. And there you go. Think what Jay Leno used to do?
Make it stack.
Should have had 2 boxes.
Okay. All right. Fire station updates, the question. I believe that's probably the fire station that we're looking at 278 West, going towards Polk County. Actually, that fire station, originally, most of y'all know, they were going to put that fire station up at the airport. That was naturally before we found out they were going to do a commercial airport. So probably should have put this in the other stack for right now. See how it happens. But anyway, that was before we found out they were going to do a commercial airport. And so because of everything going on up there, that didn't happen. So that contract that was let out for that's long gone, that's over and done with. What we decided to try to do was, I wanted to do more or less a compromise, and we're not doing it up at the airport, let's do it down at the beginning, the entrance of the airport. Because I felt like that's a compromise, because for a general aviation airport, you don't have to have a fire station at the airport. And the splosh vote was for a fire station. It was for a fire station for the citizens, not for somebody else's commercial airport. So I wanted to put the fire station down there. I thought that'd be a compromise. You can run up the hills 3/4 of a mile to get to the airport if needed, but yet you're better serving the citizens because you want to get those citizens within that 5-mile radius. I was this close to getting that deal done on some property out front there on 278 Airport Parkway. This close. And we'll talk about that in a minute. That didn't work out. We're looking somewhere else down the road, and I hope to have an update soon. My goal is before the end of this year, if we've got a piece of property, we're looking at 3 pieces right now. My goal is with the end of this year that we break the ground on a fire station for the citizens of Pownall County. That would be in post 2 out there and post 4. So that's your fire station update. I may put that over there and mention one more thing about it in a second.
Is that going to be on 278?
Well, it could be on 278 or it could be just off 278 just a little bit. Just depends. Okay? Depending on how the roads work. You know, you got Pool Elementary there, Bob.
Right.
Little road that goes around there. You got that. And there's a lot of, once you get away from the airport a little bit, coming back towards Pool Elementary, you can actually incorporate more citizens. Okay? And that's what that splosh vote was originally for. All right. When is the new jail gonna open up? We actually got an update on that at Tuesday's meeting, and they still say we're gonna have that thing opened up the end of 2019. They're working a little bit harder to make sure they've got their budget where it needs to be, and we've got everything mapped out. A lot of the things interesting about the new jail, it was always planned when that courthouse was built to put the new jail back there. With the facility that they needed, they were going to end up going up and putting 2 or 3 floors of the jail, which in a jail, building jail costs you more money to operate at different floors versus on one level. And so we were able to buy some property back behind the courthouse, not only for the jail and not only to have room to be able to build the jail, but it's going to be a future use there. And so they say the end of 2019. My goal would be we want to make sure that we've got a good product. I could see it coming in a little bit later than that. I would probably think the first quarter of 2000. We'll see how that goes. But that's what's going on with the new jail. Okay. Where is the roundabout in Yorkville, Gold Mine Road and 101 general facility? General area that's going to be in. Where's it going to be? I guess is that question. It's going to be right there. In fact, we've got some drawings of the new roundabout that's going to be there. But it's going to be right there in that area of those roads, Holly Springs Road, 101, Gold Mine. It's going to be right there. That's going to be a couple of years down the road. It's probably going to take, sometimes things move pretty slow. I'm going to say it's going to be about 22, 23 months from now before we have everything we need to be able to put that out for bid. And roundabout, and that's a long time. I'm not sure who asked the question, but I think I may know. Oh, look at that. I knew it was right. I like the roundabouts. When you don't have a light, the long-term maintenance of them is very minimal, and it keeps traffic moving. That's going to be a beautiful design out there. We've already met with the churches there, and we're going to have some more community meetings out there, but it's a beautiful design, and I think when we get through with that, which is going to be 3 years down the road before it's done, I think that's going to just absolutely, Gold Mine Road, 101, Holly Springs, it's going to be a nice focal point there. I really look forward to that. So hopefully I answered your question there. It's probably going to be 20 to 23, 24 months before we have that ready to go.
What about the Rose's store?
Rose's store is going to be sooner than that. We're actually pretty close, and if I say something wrong, I apologize, but I think we're pretty close to being able to get something done on Rose's store. We could actually see something on that next year. And that's going to be also a nice thing there. Get rid of that four-way stop, the roundabout will be there. We made sure the other store that we just put in, that we worked with them to put that where it needed to be. And so I'm excited about that, and that's going to really make that area, going to keep traffic moving and on both of those roads, and it'll be efficient, it'll look good. I don't know if you know much about roundabouts. I've learned a lot. It's kind of like water, you kind of learn a lot about it, but basically what they do is they keep traffic moving. The long-term maintenance is very minimal, but if you have a crash, it's a very minimal impact, typically. Okay? Because people are going into the roundabout and slowing down whatever. If you end up having a crash, it's just more or less should be a fender bender versus somebody running red lights, driving too fast, and that kind of stuff. And it keeps traffic moving. Better?
I just got a comment. The only thing I'd like to see taken into consideration when you implement those roundabouts is make sure that the circumference is ample distance. Now, I've got a lot of experience of driving in those
Right.
in Massachusetts. And I wasn't too fond of them.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
one of the
especially
considerations.
trucks,
to take.
yeah, you got it. Well, that's what, the one in Yorkville, that design's gonna be in the next 20 months, and that's one of the things we're working on. A lot of roads involved, lot of trucks that go down through there, and they like to drive fast. So, all right,
What's the speed bump? How do you get to it?
will the west end of the county get a fire station? We kind of just answered that. We're working on that, and my goal is, no matter what, I hope we're breaking ground on a fire station now, 278 West. Okay? I saw a post on Facebook that said you voted against the film studio bond. Is that true? Yes, I voted against the film studio bond. There was actually several projects when we did that vote. I remember that vote because it kind of changed things with me. I had been in office for about 90 days. This vote happened on March 22nd, if my day is right, 2011. And you can go back and verify that that's a Tuesday. If that's a Tuesday, that's when it happened. It happened at 7 o'clock at night. I asked for that to be tabled. My personal view is I don't feel like the government should be inside doing business. If somebody felt like a film studio was a bright idea, I would figure a business would come in and do a film studio. I don't think the taxpayers should be backing it. That actually was a film studio. It was a water tank at the airport, and it was, here you go again. Should have been in that other box. Water tank at the airport and a hangar, a corporate hangar. What's frustrating with me is the water tank's never been used, and there's issues with the water tank. The hangar, there's issues with the hangar. It wasn't built properly for the corporate hangar that it's supposed to be. And the film studio's been a debacle. It's about an $8.5, and I won't get everything exactly right, it's about $8.5 million in bonds. And your IBA, which is also members and then sit on the airport authority, they did those bonds, and we backed them, taxpayers. It was a 3-2 vote that night. I asked for it to be tabled for 2 weeks so the citizens could hear more about it, and it didn't get tabled, they got it. That's why you don't see the Board of Commissioners going at it, maybe, over the film studio, because there was a vote. Y'all get that? There was a vote that happened, it happened. And when that vote happens, it's done. It's a 3-2 vote, so we built the hangar. It actually, we had some issues there, because there was actually a man killed. Built a water tower, never used a drop of water out of it, and built a film studio. And my numbers won't be right on this, but we're paying over $500,000 in bond payments a year. And there was more money than that put in it. Those 3 projects probably have over $10 million in them, and then the taxpayers paying bond payments, $500,000 a year. And any kind of income that's come in from them, which the water tower has brought none, the corporate hangar has brought very, very, very little. Could have had a few storage buildings do better than the corporate hangar. And the film studio has been, in my view, a debacle. And it's had a few hits, mostly misses, and that's why I fight so hard on other issues to make sure the taxpayers don't get caught up in something like this. So yeah, I voted against the film studio. Set that one right there. Is there any plans for natural gas expansion in the county so that we can have a choice of heating our home versus electricity? There has been, The commissioners have been very little involved in it at this point, but there has been a lot of talk about that from the gas companies expanding. And a lot of that has happened different times with subdivisions being built and so forth. But to answer your question right now, there's been talk about it, but I don't have any knowledge as far as firsthand knowledge of what their plans are to do. But I know they've talked about it and they plan on doing some expansion. I don't know where this person would be located.
They're doing a lot of nationwide upgrading on their lines as far as pressure regulators and so forth, so there's a good possibility they're going to.
And that's what, and they have been doing a lot of upgrades on their lines for the last 18 months, really, and going to continue to do that. But I'm not sure where you're located, at, but would be glad to check into it for you, whoever that is, if you'd like to remind me here afterwards and see what we can do. Not a question, but a compliment. Thank you for the continual updates regarding the water status when the tank ran dry. Not only did I see you out late night and early morning videos, but I also received personal phone calls from you checking to make sure my family was okay.
Somebody's promoting more corny videos.
They are. What do you think?
I'm all for it.
I think I can do it. You can do it. I can do it. It says, I cannot express how comforting it is to know that the commissioner truly cares. Thank you, whoever wrote that. I appreciate it. That was a good learning experience too, as I said earlier with Lori. Okay. You laughing at me? I'm going to hold off on this one for a second. Okay. Are there any incentives you can give to internet companies to extend fiber into the subdivisions? It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that, if there's any incentives. So evidently there's some folks that are looking for
You know what really gets under my skin is here, we have no internet, but we got a friggin' airport in the backyard.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I understand. I understand. Should I put this over there? That's, we're probably not going to be given incentives to do that, but we can check into a couple things. There's a lot of areas that don't have what they need when it comes to that, and that's why we talked about the fiber that we put in the splosh. It really needs to be a little bit more. The next splosh vote that y'all have, hopefully, we'll do some adjustments on that. We've got public safety, we've got DOT roads, and we've got parks and recs. And we probably need to do a little adjustment. We probably need to put some other things in there that will allow us to use some of that money in some different ways. So, good question with that. I'm not sure what this was. I'm going to lay that right there because I don't know what that means. I don't know about answering this one. It says, how is it that Larry Ragsdale got his name on a park in his district and no name on this one? Can you answer that? Oh, I can answer that. I can't answer that. I'll answer the second part of it. The Larry Ragsdale part of it, we're just going to leave that at that. Yeah, the chuckle sometimes it makes me wonder who wrote this. I will tell you this. One of the things when this park, one of the things I was excited about being a part of, being able to do this park, was the commissioners allowed me to make a few decisions that I took back to them, but I explained in my heart why I felt the way I felt about it. There were several names that came up to to name this park after people. I personally feel like that a public servant, which I feel like I'm a public servant, elected official, somebody in office, we put our name in the hat to run, and why should we have something named after us? We're supposed to be doing the job we were voted in to do. And this park, in my view, this park belongs to the community. Okay? It doesn't belong to Todd Pownall. I'm just glad I had a small part in it. It belongs to the community. And I've got an idea about some of the pavilions, and I won't share that now because then they'll be out there. But I think y'all would like the idea that I may come up with here, that I've been working on. But in my view, everything here is named after the community. So when we came up with it, in fact, we had a Republican Party meeting here. It was the first meeting that was held here. And I mentioned that day to the Republican Party meeting. I said, we didn't name the park after anybody. We named it after the community. It's on Mulberry Rock Road. I can tell you there's a lot of rock. So why not name it Mulberry Rock Park? Named after the community. So my same ideas with some of the pavilions may do kind of the same thing and name some things after the community. I don't believe that, I wouldn't allow somebody to put my name on any government facility for whatever I've done or not done, no matter how long I'm around. I don't agree with that. Yes, sir?
I was involved with Parks and Recs in Cherokee County.
Mm-hmm.
I commend you for that because parks or areas were getting named that had nothing to do with the community that was there to serve that and build that community, and there was a lot of rejection because of that.
Well, I think
So
what
I commend
happens.
you for doing what you just did.
Yeah, and there may have been a couple of names that were mentioned that I thought that'd be a good name, and maybe that person deserves it. But I think what you end up doing, and we've talked about it plenty of times, you name something after somebody, and you make that person, that family happy.
Or they get arrested later for something crazy.
Show up at your facility, because they're out of jail. But you know what, there's a do to everybody else, okay? And the facilities belong to the citizens. I mean, y'all are the ones that voted for SPLOST and paid the SPLOST in order to build the park, and so Mulberry Rock Park. And I can tell you
I
this,
commend you for that.
thank you. I can tell you this, I stood up to make sure it was Mulberry Rock Park and not a person's name, okay? And it didn't have anything to do with anybody not being a good person, just about the community. Okay.
Give us a
Okay. This isn't. You gone, Lori? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can Rapid Rail come to Paulding County, I guess, by way of the Silver Comet? Are you for or against it? You know, there's been a lot of talk about Silver Comet and Rapid Rail. And some people say they poured the concrete thick enough for Rapid Rail. And, that's not the case. Maybe somewhere down the line, when we're not around, they might be able to dig up Silver Comet Trail and do something. I don't see that. I would hope that whoever's in office at the time would fight for the quality of life you have. That's one of the greatest assets I think the county has, is the Silver Comet Trail. And so I don't see that happening. Are you for or against it? I'm not for Rapid Rail coming to Paulding County. Not for a bus system coming to Paulding County. And just, that's not something that I'm for. I think if there's any kind of money spent on anything like that, which Rapid Rail is a lot of money, about $125 million a mile. If anything like that was to ever come to any county, it needs to go before the voters. Period. It needs to go before the voters. And but as far as Do I support it? No, I do not support rapid rail, and I do not support the bus system coming to Paulding County, MARTA, or whatever name you want to put on it. Absolutely do not. If you aren't careful and you don't protect your quality of life, all right, you'll be in trouble. Okay? Did the county ever get the 163 acres back from the airport? Y'all kind of heard about that back in December 2016, the Chairman David Austin signed a deed and gave that 163 acres to the airport authority that the county owned. That actually triggered more lawsuit type information coming into us from the city of Atlanta. And I believe rightfully so. Several people had told us don't do nothing with the 163 acres. There was a lot going on at the time. It needs to be left alone just like it is. The problem with what happened with that is everybody was told, the airport authority, the board of commissioners were told, and when that happened, when he signed that deed, he actually signed a deed that was prepared by the airport authority's attorney and the airport authority's conflict counsel attorney. Okay? And when that happened, it just shouldn't have been. Okay? When the deed was signed by David Austin to sign over that 163 acres, with the FAA and everybody had said, leave it alone. When that happened, it was done. A deed was drawn up by the airport authority's attorney and their conflict counsel attorney. And should have never happened. It was a bad move. It was a wrong move, and we've been dealing with it. Do we have it back yet? No, we don't. It should be soon. We've got most of it surveyed, and we're looking to get back out of that 163 acre parcel. We're looking to get back about 123 acres, give or take a few. And then we got another section of the airport that we'll be looking to put back in the board of commissioners' names. We have an agreement with the airport authority on that in order to do that. So I think I'll leave it at that. Okay? Done. The fire station update, we kind of brought that up a couple times. A lot of reasons that the fire station has been such a hot topic button is because of the airport. And when we decided that it wasn't going to go up there at the airport, and we decided to put it down at the bottom, and then it's been nothing but people fighting us against that as far as the firehouse is concerned. As far as the airport authority is concerned, fighting us. And the airport issue, the commercialization of the airport issue has brought that, in other words, that's got in between the fire station and the citizens. And that's what's frustrating to me as far as that whole situation is, y'all deserve the fire station, and here we're still dealing with the airport issues. And that's what's keeping that from happening. And but anyway, I gave you an update on that a few minutes ago. I'm going to let somebody else read that for me in a second. It's not bad. What does a successful airport in Paulding County look like for you in 10 years? What does it look like? Okay, and then it says FedEx, UPS, any cargo. if Amazon wanted a hub at the airport with 200 to 100,000, I'm not sure what that is, jobs, would you consider it? What does the airport look like for me in 10 years? Right now, we could do cargo right now. The General Aviation Airport can do cargo, okay? The airport authority actually entertained doing cargo with UPS and FedEx. They said no. What are you gonna do with it once it gets there? When the cargo gets there and it lands, what are you gonna do with it then? You gonna run it up to higher than 278? I mean, what are you gonna do with it? So I don't see that working out. Besides, that was years ago when the airport authority approached them and they all said no, 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 that they weren't gonna do that. So the question is, what do I see it being? The entire Board of Commissioners agrees that the General Aviation Airport can be successful. It was actually designed to be much different than what they're trying to make it be right now. You've got that runway put up there in the middle of mountains in beautiful area, all kind of wildlife, all kind of streams, rivers. There's all kind of species that need to be protected up there. And there was originally a plan to put corporate homes up there and have corporate jets coming in and different things. In fact, Paulding County won an award for its idea on building that airport up there. So what do I see? I see that if people will work together and decide that you're not going to have a commercial passenger service airport, and quit fighting about it and get Brett Smith out of here, work together to make the General Aviation Airport successful, decide that we're going to work together and put in T-hangars and do what we can to bring in airplanes to play so that they'll pay ad valorem tax, and decide you're going to have a successful General Aviation Airport, I can see it being very successful. Where's it going to be in 10 years? It's going to take some time. An airport like McCollum went over 50 years before it became successful, before it really stood on its own. Some people wanted to talk about commercializing the airport. We got to commercialize the airport because it's costing us a fortune. It's costing us all this money. We're spending so much money out there. We got to do something with it. We got to do something with it. If everybody worked together to make it a good general aviation airport, it can happen. And we were only spending $300,000 a year to run and operate that airport. It wasn't like we were spending millions. I mean, look at what we spent on a film studio. Look at what we spent on the other things that we spent, where we're paying somewhere around $700,000 a year payments on bonds. We were only paying $300,000 a year average on that airport. So there wasn't a need to go out and break the promise that was made to the people of Paulding County, the promise that was made to the city of Atlanta about doing it. There wasn't a need to do it. And I don't see that commercial can be successful. And I think if we work together to do what needs to be done, and the Board of Commissioners is willing to work to see that they have what they need at the airport for a good general aviation airport, we'll be successful. Is it going to be real successful in 10 years? It's going to be better than what it is now. Is it going to be something that's going to be turning a profit in 10 years? I think it could be. But I can tell you, I don't see any way it's going to be any good for the people of Paulding County if that airport was to go commercial. Right now, people are kind of fussing, and they say, you spent $500,000 on fighting these lawsuits concerning the airport. We have. 80% of that money, we've been defending ourselves from the city of Atlanta and other lawsuits that are out there. About $400,000 is where we've been defending ourselves. We have spent, over the last few years, $500,000. But the airport authority, which is made up of the IBA, we're paying their payments for them about $700,000 a year on failed projects. Nobody wants to talk about that, do they? They want to talk about all the failed projects. Hang on. We're spending $700,000 a year on failed projects with them, and then over the last few years, we're spending $500,000 on fighting the commercialization of the airport. I don't see it being successful. Brett Smith said it would bring in 20,000 jobs. The Chamber of Commerce, the Airport Authority, and Brett Smith had a company basically do some research and find out how many jobs it was going to be. They all chipped in, the people that won it, the Airport Authority, Chamber of Commerce, and Brett Smith. They all chipped in. I think that research was about $18,000. It came up with 55 jobs. 55 full-time, part-time, and seasonal jobs. That's what it came up. We don't need to sell ourselves out. We don't need to sell our quality of life for something for 55 jobs. There's a plan up there that if the commercialization of the airport, if they receive the 139, it would cost the taxpayers in the next 9 years somewhere around $35 million for your part of what you're going to have to do. Your part. Can't do it. And I will continue to stand strong to fight for the citizens of Pownall County for your quality of life. I personally think there's two important assets we have here in Pownall County. And number one is our people. And number two is our green space. And I think if we work together to preserve and conserve, but preserve our green space, our natural resources, our rivers, our creeks, and our streams. If we work together to preserve our natural resources that we've been given in Pownall County, we have a beautiful property out there. It is just unbelievable when you get out there and you walk through those creeks and you see what we have here in this county. I think if we work together and preserve that, we take care of the other one, which is our people and our quality of life. People that move to Pownall County move here to live. You go down to Hartsville and you go through the parking lots, and I'm not talking about just at the airport, I'm talking about all the way around. Go out there 1 mile, 2 miles, go out there 3 miles. Julie and I did it a few years ago. I can tell you what we saw. 65–70% of the car tags, 65 to 70% of the car tags were not from there. They were from other counties. Drove into work so they could come back out here to places like this to live. All right?
Carmichael did that.
That's right. That's what it's about. Their plan does not work. All right, we're about done.
I just got a quick question.
Yes.
Is it two separate issues, cargo and public transportation issue? With them?
Yeah, it's two separate issues.
Okay.
And neither one of those issues have, you know, I guess you could tie public transportation if you wanted to a commercial airport.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is commercial flights with people versus cargo.
Those are two separate. You could do cargo today.
Okay.
That general aviation airport.
Do you support the cargo part?
Do I support? You can do cargo today. Right now, you can do cargo. Okay. Nobody's going to do it. The research that was done years ago when they went to try to do it wasn't going to happen. What they're trying to do is use the airport for something that wasn't designed to do in an area that wasn't designed to do it. But you can do it today. There's nothing we could do.
Well,
Okay.
the problem is that if you put cargo in there, you're going to have infrastructure and roads to support that.
That's why the cargo is not coming.
Okay.
Period.
All right.
Yes.
Real quick follow-up.
Yes.
You said the taxpayers would pay up to $35 million for everything at the airport. What did the taxpayers get?
Nothing.
Yeah. If you watch some of the videos that I did, in October of 2012 and November of 2012, the Airport Authority signed a contract with Silver Comet Propeller Investments, Brett Smith. And basically, that contract says that he's gonna get 97.5%, and the airport authority is gonna get 2.5%. Any monies that come into the airport authority has to be put back into the airport, okay? So he gets 97.5%, airport authority gets 2.5 cents, and I've got a video out there where I tell you, you get nothing. You get nothing. The land out there is owned by the Board of Commissioners and the IBA and the Airport Authority. There's no taxes paid on it right now because government entity owns the property, all right? So if somebody was to lease some land through this private organization, Mr. Smith, if they were to lease that, the only tax you're going to collect on that is whatever that equipment or that building or whatever that brings in, those taxes, all right? But he's in control of the money that comes in. He's in control of any money. He's going to take 97.5%. The airport authority's going to take 2.5%. They're going to put it into the airport, and you guys are going to get nothing. I mean, that's just the bottom line about it. It was a bad deal to begin with, and anybody that really looks at those contracts, they'll realize the contract's a bad deal. It's just a bad deal. If the board flips to a pro-commercial board and the lawsuits are then dismissed, will we then have jets flying over our homes? I'm going to tell you would. And I'm going to tell you why you would. The FAA, we had a meeting with the FAA, and I was actually in the meeting when this went on, and that, what they said was they're not going to make a decision until the last non-appealable lawsuit settled. Then they said this: we're also not going to make a decision until both you boards agree. Okay? Now, if both boards agree, that puts everybody together. I think you're going to get to 139, and I think there'll be flying jets. Y'all have to remember the history. I've said in several videos that I'll talk to anybody, and I'm not, and I mean this, I'm being humble about it, but I'm just telling you the facts. I'll talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere about the airport. I'm not saying I got all the answers, but I can tell you this: I got the facts of what happened to this county when it comes to that. On October 3rd, 2013, when they announced that, it made me sick. I told my wife, I said, "Whew, I got some tough decisions here. Do you know what this is going to do? Do you know what's going to happen when I say, whoa, I didn't know. What are you doing? What are y'all doing selling our people out, selling our airport out?" I knew what was told in 2004 at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon when Calvin Thompson said, no way would I ever be a part of commercial passenger service. I knew it because I've been around. I've been around for 20 years. I knew what was going on. And I told her, I said, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. Didn't ever think it'd be 4.5 years later that we'd be dealing with this. I personally think the fight's worth it. I think y'all are worth it. I think the quality of life is worth it. Once you sell yourself out, it's gone. You're going to sell yourself out for 55 jobs, it's gone. Shouldn't have ever happened. I want to tell you, and I know it's getting late, and I know a lot of y'all need to go home, but I want to tell you something real quick. I want you to think about it. I want your support. I want your vote. I want your prayers. God doesn't want me in there. He'll handle that. And you know what? I'll be good with it. I helped somebody in a race in 2004, and an older gentleman that I had never met told me that night. I was a campaign manager. An older gentleman told me that night, he said, you'll either win or you'll get your life back. Well, I didn't understand what that meant. I'd been involved in a couple campaigns. That was one I got my feet wet the most. Taught me the most. I know what he meant. Okay? I know what he meant. We lost that night. Looking back, we think God had his hand in it. Right? Things happen. I think things could have been different. In 2012, there was a commission chairman's race. I want you to hear me. 2012, there was a commission chairman's race. There was also a post one race. You always find out things later. In 2012, sometime in the first quarter, into the first quarter, Brett Smith from New York City, met with the airport authority, the airport director, Blake Wofford. A campaign was going on in 2012 for the chairman's race. Y'all can look back and look at the campaign. And for post one. The whole time that primary wasn't in May that year, it was late. And the whole time that race was going on, they were dating and courting him, meaning business-wise, getting together and trying to decide what kind of deal we're going to do. And then the chairman got reelected. Post one position, Mr. Carmichael won that. David Austin got reelected. Mr. Carmichael was on the Airport Authority Board. And he won to be seated as a post one commissioner. Come October of 2012, that same year before he took office, before he took his oath in December for January 1 of 13, he and David Austin, who was also on the Airport Authority Board, in October and November of 12, signed contracts with Brett Smith with Propeller. And then we had swear-ins in December. Everybody's seated in their new seat again in January 1 of 2013. And they set up on that board. They set up on that board the entire time. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. And on October 3rd, they finally told you. You want to know why I'm frustrated? They finally told you on October 3rd of 13. Y'all got to realize that they ran a campaign and they never told you who they were meeting with. They never told you anything about it, so y'all didn't need to know, they thought. You just didn't need to know. You deserve to know. They worked for you. They worked for the citizens of Paulding County. And the whole time working this deal, they get in office, don't say nothing. So 1 year after they sign the papers, they announce it. And then they wonder why I'm upset. Sat up there, I sat between post one and the chairman, and never told me.
They wanted you to go for the open records.
Yeah,
They wanted
you
you
should have
to
seen it on the
Should have
record.
said it. The whole time didn't tell me. Now, that's not right. I appreciate your all support. Everybody out there needs to see where the candidates stand when it comes to the issues. Everybody needs to see where they stand. and you need to make them tell you.
But they don't show up at the debates, I mean,
They,
you know.
you need to make them tell you, and look here, you need to get it on video.
These secret meetings.
Period. You need to get it on video. And I mean it. I told somebody today, a friend of mine, I said, when we go vote, when y'all go vote, you get to go over the box and you get to vote for who you want to. And it's a private vote. When I vote, when I'm up there on the Board of Commissioners vote, it's all out in the open. Y'all see exactly where I stand. So I say to the public, you better find out where the candidates stand, because you're going to know darn well where they stand if they get in office. And that's just the way it is. Now, if you want them standing in a certain spot, that's fine. But they need to tell you where they stand. And when you think about somebody running it, 2 campaigns, post one in the chairman, and not sharing with you what's going on, that's why I continue to fight for what I believe in. And I think the best thing that we've been able to do the last 3.5 years is have open, honest, transparent government. Do it out in the public. I know sometimes you don't want to see whatever, arguing over it. I understand that. I don't want to see it either. I don't want to do it. But the fact is this, you can either deal with it and argue over it, or you can stand there and keep your mouth shut and not use the microphone. Y'all voted for me to come in office to do my job. And if you have a problem with the way I'm doing my job, you come and you talk to me. And I listen to you. But I can tell you, I will continue to stand for your quality life, and I will continue to do it out in the open. I'd appreciate your support. I appreciate your prayers. And that is, as I always say at the end of my corny video, right? You and I working together will continue to make Pownall County a great place to live, work, and play. It takes us all. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. I know I was long-winded. I appreciate your support. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.